Welcome to Time Warner Cable's Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Our guest, Tamiko Chacon, I am completely taken by her and the work that she is engaging in. She is a pastor of social justice at the Pomona First Baptist Church, and she directs a program called Traffic Free Pomona. Tell us about the program, Tomiko.
Yeah, Traffic Free Pomona is a faith-based community group that we started out of our church to eradicate human trafficking and commercial sexual exploitation of children in our city.
And let's talk about that, because that topic, that horrible act, was in the news a lot in November because there was a proposition on the ballot that addressed human trafficking. You know, we're in the Los Angeles area. We wouldn't think that issue would impact us in LA or California, but you know it does.
It does. Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
Yes. Well, actually, Los Angeles is one of the top 3 destination points for international victims of human trafficking.
I couldn't believe it when I learned it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in addition to that, domestic victims, children, teenage girls are trafficked into the commercial sex trade every year. There are about 100,000 children that are being commercially sexually exploited every year.
And what's interesting is they are trafficked internationally, but it's also happening domestically.
Yes.
It's not just women being flown in, girls being flown in. It's runaways.
Yes.
It's children at risk.
Yeah.
It's children in Pomona, in the Inland Empire, in the San Gabriel Valley, in East Los Angeles.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, pimps and traffickers target vulnerable girls. They target girls that are runaways. They say a runaway is approached by a pimp within 48 hours of running away.
Stunning.
So they know,
and devastating.
They know exactly where to look for these young girls. And the majority of women who are in the sex industry were sexually exploited, sexually abused at a young age. So it seems that pimps and traffickers know exactly who to look for, those that are vulnerable.
And tell us about Prop 35 and what that has done and how that's helped you in your quest to eliminate human trafficking.
Yeah, well, it strengthens the laws through which we can prosecute traffickers. It requires a convicted sex trafficker to register as a sex offender. And then most importantly, I think it requires all law enforcement agencies to go through a 2-hour training. Up until this point, law enforcement agencies that went through training on how to identify victims of human trafficking, it was all voluntary.
Now, when I think about Pomona, I know, it's a wonderful community. It has some well-heeled areas, some less economically advantaged areas. I wouldn't think we would need to start a program called Traffic Free Pomona, but yet you need to.
Yes. In fact, we're actually a city that's known for where you can come and buy sex. There are tracks, that's what they call them, places where they bring the girls and sell them for sex right down the street from where our church is located, actually. In fact, there are members of our church who've experienced this firsthand. We have a member of our church community that was working with a vulnerable girl at a girl's home, and she was lured out. She ran away with another girl who trafficked her with a pimp into another state.
So what are you doing to address this problem?
Yeah, well, we are raising awareness about it.
You're here today?
Yes, through workshops, through worship services at our church, through film screenings.
And tell me about the screening.
Yes.
We can't forget that.
Yes.
April 9th at the Lemley Claremont.
Yes, at the Lemley Claremont, 7 p.m. April 9th, we're going to screen a documentary called Not My Life, which is narrated by Glenn Close, which is an excellent documentary film that addresses both the global and the domestic aspects of human trafficking.
How can we get tickets? What should we do? How can we find you?
You can go to our website, which is trafficfreepomona.org. It has all the information there.
And what does it mean to you that you've been able to do this for the girls and women of this area?
Oh, well, it just, when I think of a young girl who was abused as a child and then sexually exploited, even from the age of 11 or 12 years old, and then to be able to help them.
Thank you so much for joining us. Her name is Tamiko Chacon. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thanks for watching Time Warner Cable's Local Edition.